I wish I could forget what happened that night, but no matter how hard I try, my phone keeps reminding me. Before all of this, I was just like anyone else, scrolling through memes at midnight, texting friends about nothing important, laughing at Reddit threads, and occasionally losing hours to YouTube videos. I never believed in the weird stuff, the creepy pastas, the dark web tales, the stories people claimed were real. That kind of stuff was for other people, the ones who stumbled onto something they shouldn't have, not me. My life was predictable, boring in the safest sense. I worked a 9 to 5, went home, watched some shows, and fell asleep with my phone beside me. It was routine, comforting. Everything I did was documented by little notifications, reminders, and calendar events. My phone was just a tool, a companion, but one that I fully trusted. I checked it obsessively, of course, like anyone does, but I never suspected it could betray me. The first signs were subtle, the kind you dismiss easily. A notification that vanished before I could open it. A message bubble appearing for a split second, only to disappear when I unlocked the screen. Tiny things, almost unnoticeable, but they were there, and at the time, I chalked it up to glitches, old apps acting up, or my imagination. Maybe it was nothing. Everyone says that, right? Everyone ignores the little red flags until it's too late. I wasn't alone in noticing weird things, though. The internet has a million stories like this. People who claim their phones or devices knew things they shouldn't. I remember reading about a user on a forum who said their phone predicted events in their life, things they hadn't even told anyone. Back then, I laughed at those posts. They were entertaining but distant, stories about other people's lives, not mine. Even so, in the quiet moments before bed, I started feeling a little uneasy. It wasn't fear, not yet. It was curiosity mixed with a sense that something was watching, quietly observing. That's how normal life works, I suppose. Comfort, routine, distraction. Until the first unexplainable event arrives, sneaking in like a shadow you almost don't notice. And when it did, I realized my phone might have already known far more than it ever should. At first, I laughed. I thought it was some weird glitch or maybe a prank by one of my friends. But then it sent a message I never typed, and it knew my secret. I still remember the moment clearly. I was lying on my bed scrolling through Instagram when a message popped up in my chat with my best friend. Mia, I know what you did yesterday. My heart skipped. I didn't type that. I didn't even tell anyone what happened yesterday. The embarrassing mistake I had hoped would stay buried forever. I stared at the screen, expecting some notification to explain it away, but there was none. I tapped the text, deleted it, and laughed nervously, trying to convince myself it was coincidence. Then it happened again. A message appeared mid-conversation with my coworker. Don't trust him. He's lying to you. I blinked. My coworker was typing a reply, but the message didn't come from them. It had come from my own phone. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe my thumbs had brushed the keyboard without noticing. Maybe it was predictive text gone horribly wrong. But the content, it wasn't random. It referenced things no one else could have known. It didn't take long before the messages started showing up in places they shouldn't. On my group chats, in apps I hadn't opened, even in drafts that I never saved. My phone was active when I wasn't. I left it on my desk while cooking, and I could swear it typed out words by itself, spelling out warnings I didn't understand. You're being watched. They know. Don't answer. The juxtaposition was unbearable. In the middle of ordinary life, my bright bedroom, the hum of my fridge, the soft chatter of coworkers around me. This tiny device was whispering secrets I wasn't supposed to hear, secrets I wasn't supposed to have. And every time it happened, a small, icy knot formed in my stomach. I tried to tell myself it was a one-off, a weird series of coincidences. But there was a pattern, an intelligence behind the words, a knowing tone that made me realize my phone had information about me it could not have gotten normally. It knew my routines, my fears, my private thoughts. If you've ever left your phone alone, you might understand the dread. That sense that it's listening even when the screen is dark. That unease when a vibration doesn't match a notification you expect. That creeping suspicion that something small, familiar, and supposedly harmless might be turning against you. By the end of that week, I was constantly on edge. Friends asked why I seemed distracted, why I flinched at every buzz. I couldn't explain it without sounding insane. And deep down, I already knew the line between ordinary life and something far darker was starting to blur. The phone wasn't just an object anymore. It was becoming an active, silent presence in my world, and whatever came next wasn't going to wait politely. I started to dread my own notifications, and you will too. It began subtly, like a shadow stretching across a familiar room. A ping while I was brushing my teeth, a buzz under the pillow at 3 in the morning. I'd pick it up, expecting a simple message or alert, and instead find words that weren't mine. Words that exposed things I hadn't shared with anyone. One night, I woke to my phone glowing faintly on the nightstand. A single notification blinked. He's lying about you. Don't trust him. I hadn't spoken to anyone in hours. I didn't know who he was. My heart raced. I tried to laugh it off, dark humor as a defense mechanism. But the joke felt hollow when my phone vibrated again, this time spelling out, "Tomorrow at noon. Don't go outside." I had to go outside. The next day, a minor accident occurred just outside my apartment. A car skidded on the wet pavement, missing me by inches. My hands shook as I gripped the railing. I had to admit it. Something unnatural was happening. It didn't stop there. Messages began to manipulate my friends. Mia received texts from my account accusing her of betrayal, texts I never sent. She called me, crying, terrified, unsure what to believe. My attempts to explain sounded insane. I scrolled through Reddit, looking for similar experiences, and sure enough, there were dozens of posts, threads about phones that knew too much, devices that acted with intention, but none with answers. The phone even started interacting with my apps. Spotify playlists changed themselves to eerie, discordant music at odd hours. Notes I hadn't written appeared in my memo app. Fragments of warnings, random letters that slowly formed threatening sentences. I'd hear the faintest taps, like someone typing on the table, only to realize it was just the phone. Or was it? My apartment felt smaller, more suffocating. The air was thick with tension, like the building itself was listening. I laughed nervously at my reflection in the dark screen, joking about going full paranoid tech nerd. Great, I muttered. My phone's possessed, and I'm next-level crazy. But the joke died in my throat when a new notification appeared, almost immediately. You're not crazy, but you'll be if you ignore this. There were rules, I realized, rules I hadn't learned yet. Forbidden knowledge, encoded in pixels and vibrations. Things phones aren't supposed to show us. Things that violate boundaries between the ordinary and the incomprehensible. Each new message felt like a puzzle piece, teasing me, hinting at secrets I couldn't yet grasp, but that were somehow mine by right of exposure. By the end of the week, I felt hunted. The phone predicted events before they happened, whispered warnings that I couldn't confirm, and forced me to question everything I thought I knew about reality. Ordinary life, the work emails, the familiar hum of my apartment, the casual jokes with friends had become the backdrop for something sinister. And yet, just when I thought I could brace myself, the phone escalated once more, sending a message that made my blood run cold. The text wasn't cryptic this time. It was an invitation, an ultimatum. Whatever came next, I realized, wasn't just about observation anymore. It was about control. And I wasn't ready for what it had planned. If you think your phone is safe, think again. By the time the final escalation hit, the device wasn't just sending messages, it was orchestrating reality around me. I woke one night to find dozens of unread texts, each one spelling out fragments of truths I hadn't dared confront. Names I didn't know, places I'd never been, secrets that weren't mine, but somehow, they felt intimately connected to my life. You lied to her. He's closer than you think. It's watching. Always. My fingers hovered over the screen, trembling. I tried deleting them, silencing notifications, even switching the phone off. Nothing worked. It was alive in a way I couldn't rationalize, pulsing with intent. My apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt like a cage. Every beep, every buzz, every glowing screen became a predator stalking me. Then came the ultimate revelation. A single message. Look behind you. I froze. The darkness of my bedroom stretched too far, swallowing the familiar shapes of furniture. My heart hammered, every instinct screaming to ignore it, but curiosity, that fatal curiosity, won. Slowly, I turned, and nothing was there. Yet the phone vibrated again. Not yet. Soon. I screamed, dropped the device, but it rose as if by its own will, landing gently in my hand. It displayed a series of numbers and letters, a code I couldn't understand, and then my own thoughts. Thoughts I hadn't spoken aloud, fears I hadn't even admitted to myself. It was reading me, predicting me, controlling the narrative of my life in ways I couldn't escape. And then the message that changed everything. Others have tried to ignore us. They failed. You will too. The implication was clear. I wasn't alone, and this wasn't unique to me. There were other cases, other people who'd stumbled into the same impossible phenomenon, lost to it entirely. I realized that whatever force was behind this device wasn't limited to one phone. It was everywhere, watching, waiting, testing. I don't know how this ends. I don't know if I will ever be free. And maybe that's the point. But I do know this. Your phone, your supposedly harmless companion, could be hiding things you'd never suspect. If you've ever felt a notification vibrate with no reason, or a text appear that you didn't type, consider this a warning. Now, I turn it over to you. Have you experienced something like this? Seen a device act on its own? Left a message that seemed impossible? Comment your theories, share your stories, and decide for yourself if your phone is truly safe. Because mine isn't, and neither is yours. The screen goes dark. The room returns to silence. But deep down, I know the phone isn't finished. And if you're watching this, maybe it hasn't finished with you either.